I want to bring to the platform a woman who has been known in gamification design for years. She found her niche and she has been focused there for over a decade. She's dedicated herself to gamification and behavioral design. She builds games, gamified products and services based on emotions. Which, what are we bringing emotion into our learning programs and into our workplace? Emotions and creativity using her methodology called mindset. She believes in transformative power of gamification and emotions. Human beings long for meaningful connections and emotional experiences with others, as we all know, which is why we're delighted to talk with people at our tables here. Interactions with brands, employers, and products are no exception. Her mission is to provide people with the power to create emotional ideas and create tools to make this process effortless. So if you would please welcome me with me to the platform, Jasmin Karatas. Please welcome Jasmin, as I'm corrected by Bernardo. Thank you, Bernardo. Jasmin Karatas, can you come on up?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Thank you. I'm here in the background. If you need me, holler.
Thank you. I start sharing screen and will tell you about what I did and who I am. So actually, I'm Jasmin, and thank you for the introduction, Monica. I created a method which is based on emotions, and it is actually a mix of design thinking and a card set. But let's see what it is on. So as Albert Einstein said, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. And since years, like the university taught me that form and function equals beauty. So I studied product design, so industrial design, and that was my way. Like that I know, okay, form, function, form follows function, that's beauty. But at the end of the design process, and I need to go into that area because then you understand where I'm coming from and why I'm in the gamification area. There's always a product. And for me, that was always like, okay, product, process, or idea, process, that's always a product. And then there was this, you may know it as design thinking. And those iterative processes, sometimes we use it as well in the game thinking area, sometimes we use it in lean, sometimes we use it in whatever, just have different names. But at the end, it's kind of same-ish everywhere. And every single company has its own process now. That's one for a company I worked very long with in the consulting area. I'm working for a consulting company which is acting worldwide and internationally. So they have their own kind of process. You probably, in your companies or for your own, you have your own process. And that was cool, like the holy grail as well. Like gamification is cool, like the holy grail of whatever. But is it really like the holy grail? I was asking myself, especially in the design thinking process. And so I now wanted to ask you a little thing to do that's for purpose, it's right. Imagine a line. It's just like, I give you a line which should say fun. Imagine what would be a line which would say to you fun. It could be everything. Just draw it maybe somewhere down. And I will show you later my line art. But that's like the little question or like the little task I have for you for now. And you may, when I do that in real world, the people looking to their neighbors, they look what they are drawing. Or they think, okay, plain white paper, I don't know. What should I do? They get afraid, and they ending sometimes with nothing on their paper. So they even don't dare to do something. And so I wanted to show you my line, and it's just really one line, it's play. And for me, this word means a lot because I grew up with games. Probably most most the same like you guys. Or let's say I was one of the personal fans of my brother because he's a gamer and he played day in and day out. He played like Diablo 3 or whatever were coming up, like FIFA and those stuff. And as well mindset. And the key for that were like we have built emotion cards, and that's the key for it. I will explain why they are key for us. So in our brain, gamification works, as you probably all know, our games work on the basis of psychology. Psychology is based on emotions. Even if you're thinking that our brain does rational problem solving, it's not quite true, because the limbic system, which is dedicated for emotions and where they are happening, they have the last saying about if we accept something or not as a valid idea. This is then based on a level of our behavior, our experience, and so on and so forth. So I don't need to talk about like psychological too deep and neuroscience. I don't want it to go too deep into that. But that is actually what we try to do with mindset. So we try really to mix up the design thinking process. Like you probably know what the goal should be. Innovation should be the goal. And it is like about viability, the business side, then the feasibility, the technical area, and then the desirability, the human area. That should be like in terms of the design thinking process, innovation. But why we are not mixing it with gamification? That means with the emotion and analogies we have, with the psychological background and the habits, the science and the technology, which is really very near to each other. And while the years, I observed that we are missing quite heavily something in designing a product. As I were going through this innovation design thinking process, being as well a gamification game kind of designer, we are as human beings, we are not just consisting of fun emotions and bad emotions like smiley faces and no smiley faces. We are having a special kind of, we call it a normal mindset, so stereotypes, a box in which we are thinking. And these are based on emotions, like our habits, who we are, what we're thinking, our culture we grew up into. And a lot is then as well based on even older than spoken language.
We lost you for a second,
and
but
so
you're back.
Why don't we design for emotions and myths? And so that is where mindset is coming into, and that's a card set where we are talking about like having a card which is about technology. Then there is a card which is dealing, or more cards which are dealing with the business. Then we are dealing with the mindset itself, so the stereotypes, and then we have 13 dedicated emotion cards which are not changing, and then we're having like the presentation cards. And we use that in our area within and I needed to look which slide is next, but we needed to look into the area where we try, how should I say, not building the what, but building actually the why behind it. You can't hear the video, that's why I'm skipping it, but I can send it to you. It's on YouTube and all the stuff. But when we have those sessions, what we do is we draw secretly like a business, like a vision card, then a technology card, then we go with the persona card. Like we don't go with the player types or whatever or so on. It's really a stereotype, like be vegan, or like the hedonist, or the next tipster. So it should be something bold where you're coming into your perspective with whom you are, what you're thinking. And then we draw 3 emotion cards, like be or get creative, being epic, avoid loss. And based on these 6 cards, we are building in half an hour new ideas. That means we're giving the opportunity for people to very loose framework, but with all their experience, with all the knowledge or not knowledge, with all who they are, and not bias them up front. And we experience that it's working literally for everybody, for children, for elderly people. And this is something which is like very interesting for us to see how this evolves into very, very fun, innovative stuff. And in half an hour, you're really ending up in having an idea and can develop it further, being it on change the cards to a different persona or mindset, or even if we change and go and having the journey idea, then we're building a customer journey, and then on the customer journey we're using the emotion parts again on it, and look what kind of emotions we wanted to trigger and how we wanted to trigger. And if you go then with the Octalysis framework, or with whatever framework, with Mikkel's framework we saw beforehand, you can build on that ideas, and that's kind of a mix, and it brings a lot of joy to mix those methods. It is just a shortcut of building something which is already gamified, or you can gamify it, let's say, to it, or build a game on it, or later whatever you wanted to build on it. But for us, it was important to really have the emotion part on it. And if you have the idea, then you draw like one of those greenish cards, which is then giving you like a presentation card, which is then made something like science fiction or fairy tale or whatever, which brings the fun in it and change the idea. Sometimes for science fiction, we observe that it's a lot into the future. For like fairy tale, it's like good against evil, and so forth and so on. And the fun part of it is the challenge you do on your own at the beginning. So you have the pitch at the beginning, your question you wanted to answer, then you just draw the cards and you go crazy 30 minutes, and that's it. And we see that people really have a lot of fun working on those and building very easily something truly valuable for their needs. And that's why we use Mindset, is that we try to create ideas that are valuable and engaging and meaningful, and not just the next app. It's a playful discovery because people, they can just be who they are. Like at the beginning, they think, oh no, we need to play cards. And then I say, yes, and now you are with me, and now you can't go out because we see you. And then after 5 minutes, the ice is melting and they really go crazy like hell. And it's very interesting, very inclusive, because we don't give any other boundaries than just create an idea. And really, you can use it for whatever. For me, it was important that the people can use this method kit, so to say, for any purpose they want. Some people use even for role playing, to just the mindset cards, like where you have the against everything, or even we have some special cards which is like Putin or Mike Tyson. They just use in role acting, so that it's easy for them to just draw a card, and then those guys need to role act a salesperson with this mindset, so to say. Or even they just use the emotion, and then they use the math, like the emotions, the basic emotions based on the values they wanted to create within a team. And then they come up with their very own mechanics and ideas, how they can put it up. And so that's what we like to giving a framework, but it's a loose framework where you can build your own rules and sets. That's like other stuff, which is like, okay, innovate effectively. That's why we say we mixed it up with the design thinking part. We try really to empower creativity, because I'm a designer myself and I got really fed up with the design thinking process. It's very solution oriented, because we wanted to have something where people are having something at the end, even if it's just like the first idea. And at the end, you have really satisfied teams. That's what we want. And so that's how I became a game master, and hopefully you as well. That's it at the end. We always say like insert coin, and then we see what's happening, but that's the last animation. I will send you the video to it, and I can tell you a lot more about how actually usually we try to give people like the hands out, like we play usually the game with the people so that they can experience how it is. But please feel free to ask any question you want. For me, it's the most key importance is to take away, or the key takeaways are, if you base something on emotions, you have the value with you. And then the narrative is as well like following and can follow those emotions, what you wanted to evoke. Like Mikkel, we're talking about like, what is the purpose of the game? What should they solve? And for me, a lot is as well the purpose of a game. What kind of emotions in this game you wanted to feel? If you are creating an escape room, you wanted to create for avoid loss, maybe. You may wanted to create something for being epic, and so on and so forth. And you will get a little present afterwards, I think, from Monica. So let's see, there will be something, I think, from our side as well. So that was it from me, and I'm open for Q&A.
Oh, thank you, Jasmin. You can put some questions. Jasmin does have a nice gift for us. So let me see if I can pull this up quickly while people are putting some questions into the Q&A section. Any questions for Jasmin that you want to ask about her process, the cards, rather than the chat? Let's be sure and put them in the Q&A. I'm curious about, well, as soon as you start talking about emotion, do you start seeing people like, not so sure we want to go with emotion here?
Yes, sure. It is very, very hard for people to understand that, because they know that the user-centered approach is something they understand and they think they need to observe. But if they go with emotions, they're thinking, oh my God, no. That they think of emotions not like habits, or that they are something which is happening in their brain. They're thinking of this over emotional stuff like kissing somebody or getting romantic or over dramatic. No, that's not what we are behind. It is truly what happens between your ears, so to say, in your cognitive brain. But yes, they are. And so we just give them the cards and let them play.
Yeah. So that's good, because I think, when we start talking emotions, people are thinking, oh, I don't know that we're comfortable doing that here. So Ailes is asking, how do you get buy-in to use this in a serious company? Because that's exactly my question. We're serious people doing serious work, right? Good.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That is something, actually, it's very funny. We get a lot of questions about the card set, and a lot of serious companies buy it already. So there is not a lot that we need to convince them, because what we not really completely say is the word, we don't use the word not too often, gamification and game. We say it's a method and it's for to build emotional ideas. And we get them over the innovation design process. So we try that they intrinsically learn that the why is important to design, and we explain usually the facts and the figures behind it. So usually when we present it, there's a little bit more about the psychological area. so that we explain why it is important to have like the storytelling part, why it is important to have the emotion part, and then they understand that that is something which is important for them as well. So that is how we get the buy-in, and literally how we do this, we just sit down and play with them half an hour. If we say, you're not convinced, here is it, let's just go and have half an hour. And then we play it, and then they are convinced, and then they love it, and then don't give it away.
That's really good. Do the emotion cards provide prompts as well for potential solutions? Okay, good, Terry. For incorporating the emotions or prompts for the brainstorming, yeah.
Yes, they have a description on it, how to use it, and sometimes as well a little hint, like 3 bullets, like, but not too much of the mechanics. We had it before, but then those people, if you're not experienced, they use just those mechanics then. So we try not to bias them too much, so it's very vague, but you as a, I would say, expert, you then know how to use that in your context and in your mechanics the right way. And yes, it prompts a lot of ideas already. If I go with drawing the card agile what, and then we may have the technology augmented reality, then for instance, now there being epic card as emotion, then instantly like some stuff will kick together, and it needs some, how should I say, some repetitive, some training, so to say, because your brain needs to as well be getting creative, and that's what the problem sometimes is about, that people tend not to be too creative in their workday.
That's good.
That's
good.
what we wanted to take back to them or give back to them.
Yeah. One more question. Curious to know, do you have, and I want to say something before you answer. So do you have technology innovators using the mindset methodology? And I've been trying to share my screen, not successfully, but Jasmin has created a really nice little offer there. You can get 5 of the mindset cards for free just to take a look, but she's also offering a special for Gamicon participants of 30% off. So I was trying to pull that up, but I'll make sure and link that for you out there at the Gamified Learning Academy, so that you can download those and see the cards, and then get set for yourself also. So I'll have that out there for you this afternoon. So are technology innovators using the methodology?
So yes, there are technology innovators who use that methodology. They, how should I say, because when in the consulting, what I saw a lot, it's always the same questions which are coming up with using the technology. Like there is technology like AR, VR, social media, blah, 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 all those stuff. And so as Accenture, for instance, the company I work as a consulting, they use it. The MIT just ordered last year some of them. Even like some of, I think the how do you say, the home security guys, they as well from America, they ordered some stuff. I mean, it's very interesting where they are ending up at the end. We as well do offer services, remote services on the as workshops, but it's not the intention of us just to sell those workshops. It's for us that the people have this, that they understand that emotions are very, very important. And for me, this is very key. I'm doing quite a lot of research in games and emotions. And for me, this was my key in between this design area as well, why I'm really going into this area very, very a lot. Because Roman talked a lot about this learning aspect, but you're not learning if you do something great. You know, if you give something to a homeless guy, it is not about that you wanted to learn something. It is about that you wanted to feel good about. And this is the part we usually miss a lot out in designing for gamification. Yes, it's true. It's about learning something. But sometimes it is just because you wanted to feel something in your heart. And that is where emotion kicks in. And that's why it is the missing, for me, it was always the missing link. And that's why it's so important for myself to go that area.
Really good. Really good. Jasmin, thank you so much. Like I said, I was just thrilled when our paths finally got to cross, and I'll tell you more about the why behind that at this afternoon session. So we're going to go ahead and wrap right now, but the room will stay open. So guild leaders, you'll be at your tables just for a minute. Just close out with your guild from this morning. You can reconnect this afternoon with people. If you want to stay in the room and do some networking, Jasmin, if you wouldn't mind going to that top right corner for a few minutes in case anyone has any questions, they can pop over there. And I will paste the link into the chat here before we close out, into the public chat. So if you want to go ahead and grab those cards so you don't forget, I'll make sure and paste that in here before we close out the room this afternoon. So thank you, Jasmin. Thank you everyone for being here. Hang out as long as you like, as long as the room stays open. Not sure how much longer that will be, but okay, we'll see you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.